When you look at a Washington quarter, most people see just 25 cents. A coin so ordinary that it blends into the background of daily life. Tossed into pockets, left at the bottom of car cup holders, used at vending machines, and forgotten in change jars. The quarter is one of the most circulated coins in America. But what if I told you that some quarters from 1974, coins you might think of as completely normal pocket change, are actually worth more than many people's yearly salaries? Hidden among those 1974 Washington quarters are error coins that collectors crave, and some of them have been valued at a jaw-dropping $60,000 to $136,000. That's the kind of discovery that turns the most overlooked coin into a true treasure. The 1974 Washington quarter belongs to one of the most familiar series of coins in U.S. history. The Washington quarter had been minted since 1932, when it was originally struck to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. By 1974, the design was a well-known staple in American life. Washington's iconic profile on the front, facing left, with the word Liberty arched above, and the phrase "In God We Trust" neatly to the side. On the reverse, the eagle spread its wings across the coin's surface, clutching arrows of strength and an olive branch of peace. It's a design that represented both stability and tradition, and by the mid-1970s it was everywhere. Millions upon millions of these coins were minted, and because of that, most people assume they're common and not worth more than their face value. But that assumption would be a mistake. What makes certain 1974 quarters extraordinary is the world of minting errors. When coins are produced, everything is supposed to happen with mechanical precision. The dies strike the blank planchets with exact force, creating crisp and uniform coins to be sent into circulation. But no human or machine system is perfect. And when mistakes happen at the U.S. Mint, especially mistakes that slip through unnoticed and make their way into circulation, they create coins that should not exist. These accidental variations are what collectors call error coins, and they are often some of the most sought-after pieces in the hobby. With the 1974 Washington quarter, some of the most fascinating errors include double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and even wrong planchet strikes. A double die occurs when the design is accidentally impressed twice onto the die at slightly different angles, leading to a coin where the lettering, numbers, or even Washington's profile looks doubled. Imagine holding a 1974 quarter and seeing two overlapping versions of the words, "In God We Trust," or even a ghostly second outline of Washington's jaw. That kind of mistake transforms an ordinary coin into something truly special, something that a collector will immediately recognize as a rarity. Another striking error type is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press, and the design is pushed off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Some of these errors are subtle, while others are dramatic, with nearly half of the coin left smooth and unstruck. The more dramatic the off-center, the rarer it is, and collectors are willing to pay big for well-preserved examples. A pristine 1974 quarter with a dramatic off-center strike can easily push its value into the range of $60,000 to $136,000, especially if the coin is in mint condition. But it doesn't stop there. Another exciting error is the wrong planchet strike. A planchet is the blank metal disc used to create coins, and occasionally the wrong size or composition planchet gets fed into the press. For example, a quarter might be struck on a planchet meant for a dime or even for a foreign coin. When that happens, the design looks odd, sometimes cut off at the edges, and it instantly becomes one of those rarities collectors dream of finding. If you were to come across a 1974 Washington quarter struck on the wrong planchet, you'd be holding something very few people have ever seen in person. What makes all of this even more fascinating is the fact that most people who own these coins have no idea of their value. To them, it's just a quarter they toss into a drawer or use at a laundromat. That's why stories of life-changing discoveries continue to emerge. A person might inherit a small coin collection from a relative, casually sort through it, and then realize that one particular 1974 quarter has something odd about it. That odd detail might be the key to unlocking a fortune, because collectors and auction houses have consistently proven that they're willing to pay astronomical amounts for the right coin. Imagine sitting at an auction, watching a 25-cent piece climb higher and higher in bids until it surpasses $100,000. It's not a fantasy. It's a reality for the lucky few who hold one of these rare treasures. Condition plays a huge role in determining the ultimate value. A circulated coin, one that's been worn down by years of handling, will never fetch as much as one that has been carefully preserved. That's why uncirculated or mint-state examples are the most prized of all. A 1974 Washington quarter with a dramatic minting error, preserved in pristine condition, is exactly the kind of coin that pushes values into the six-figure range. It's a reminder that in the world of collecting, rarity and condition together create the perfect storm of demand. The 1974 quarter also has another layer of intrigue when you place it in historical context. Just 8 years later, in 1982, the mint would stop producing quarters with 90% copper cores and would transition into a different composition that included a copper-nickel-clad design. That change made earlier copper-rich coins more nostalgic and appealing to collectors, especially those struck with rare errors. It means that owning a 1974 quarter error isn't just about the mistake. It's also about owning a piece of an era in U.S. coinage history that collectors feel deeply connected to. The beauty of coin collecting is that it keeps people curious. Every coin you hold has the potential to carry a story, and the 1974 Washington quarter is no exception. It's easy to dismiss it as ordinary, but once you know the truth, you can't help but wonder if the next quarter you find in your pocket might be more than just pocket change. The thrill comes from the possibility that you could stumble across one of those rare error coins that auctioneers and collectors go wild for. Just picture this. You're digging through an old jar of coins, and you notice something odd about a 1974 quarter. Maybe the design looks off-center, maybe the lettering seems doubled, or maybe the coin feels slightly different in weight or size. That moment of curiosity could turn into one of the most exciting discoveries of your life, because the right coin could be worth $60,000 to $136,000. That's the kind of life-changing twist that makes people fall in love with the hobby of collecting. Because it's not just about money, it's about unlocking the hidden stories of everyday objects. And that's exactly what makes the 1974 Washington quarter such a fascinating subject. It's proof that even the most common things can hide extraordinary secrets. For the people who find them, these coins are not only financial windfalls but also historical treasures, frozen moments of imperfection that became priceless over time. The next time you see a quarter from 1974, will you look at it the same way? Or will you pause, check its details carefully, and wonder if you might be holding one of the rarest and most valuable quarters ever minted? The 1986 Washington quarter-dollar coin might seem like just another piece of change you've handled thousands of times. But for those who know the secrets of coin collecting, it can be a treasure hiding in plain sight. This particular year and design have gained attention among collectors because of the rare errors that slipped through the minting process, turning what was once a 25-cent coin into something worth an incredible amount of money. In fact, some error varieties of the 1986 quarter have been known to fetch values ranging anywhere between $50,000 and $122,000, a price tag so shocking that it makes people think twice before ever tossing a quarter aside. To appreciate why the 1986 Washington quarter holds this kind of potential, it's important to step back and look at its place in history. The Washington quarter itself was first introduced in 1932 as a way to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Originally meant as a commemorative piece, its popularity led to it becoming a permanent part of U.S. coinage. By 1986, the design was already well established, with the obverse featuring the famous bust of George Washington created by John Flanagan, and the reverse displaying the bold heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. Billions of these coins had already been minted over the decades, so the 1986 quarter wasn't expected to stand out until errors were discovered. Error coins have always been a major fascination for collectors. They represent rare accidents in a system designed for precision, and when it comes to minting, those accidents often translate into serious rarity. Errors can happen for several reasons. A misaligned die striking the coin, a doubled die causing the details to appear twice, an off-center strike shifting the design awkwardly, or even the wrong planchet being used. The result is a coin that looks unusual, sometimes subtly and sometimes dramatically, but in every case, it becomes something far more valuable than its intended face value. For the 1986 Washington quarter, a handful of these rare mistakes emerged, and collectors quickly realized just how significant they were. Think about it for a moment. You pull some quarters out of your pocket to pay for a snack, and among them is a 1986 coin. Feels like nothing, worth only 25 cents. But if it happens to be one of these rare error coins, its value skyrockets into the tens of thousands. That's the thrill that drives so many collectors and treasure hunters to keep their eyes peeled for unusual coins in their everyday transactions. The idea that you could be holding a piece of history worth as much as $50,000 to $122,000 is enough to make anyone take a closer look. So what kinds of errors are found on the 1986 Washington quarter? One of the most sought after is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't perfectly seated in the press, causing the design to be stamped off to one side. Sometimes only a small percentage of the design is missing, and other times it's so dramatic that part of the coin is completely blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin tends to be. Then there are double die errors, where the design elements appear duplicated or shadowed. Collectors love these because they can be spotted with the naked eye, especially in the lettering or numbers. Another rare but fascinating error is when the wrong planchet is used. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel planchet or another denomination's blank. These anomalies are extremely rare and command the highest prices when they appear. Grading plays a massive role in the value of these coins as well. Two error coins may feature the same type of mistake, but if one is heavily circulated and worn while the other is crisp and sharp, the difference in value could be enormous. Professional grading services such as NGC and PCGS are responsible for authenticating and grading these coins, and collectors often won't pay top dollar unless the coin has been certified. A 1986 error quarter in pristine condition with a dramatic strike mistake can easily land within the $50,000 to $122,000 range at auctions. Stories from auctions highlight just how valuable these coins can be. There have been instances where collectors fought over error coins in bidding wars, driving prices far higher than anyone expected. The allure is simple: error coins are unique, and once they are discovered, they often never reappear in circulation. This exclusivity makes them a centerpiece in private collections. The 1986 quarter error has become one of those coins that seasoned collectors dream of finding and casual enthusiasts hope to stumble across by accident. For many people, the fascination comes not just from the money but from the story behind the coin. Each error represents a flaw in the otherwise meticulous minting process. The U.S. Mint is known for its precision and quality control, so when an error coin escapes into circulation, it's almost like catching a glimpse behind the curtain of a perfectly orchestrated system. These coins remind us that mistakes, even in something as rigid as coin production, can create objects of immense value and fascination. This is also why coin hunting has become such a popular hobby. Across the country, people sift through jars of old change, check coins they get at the store, and even buy bulk rolls of coins from banks in the hope of finding that one rare treasure. The 1986 quarter is a perfect example of why this hobby is so thrilling. At first glance, it's an everyday coin, but with the right error, it's worth enough to pay off debts, fund a college education, or put a down payment on a house. Collectors often advise new enthusiasts to pay close attention to details. On a 1986 quarter, check the lettering carefully, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Look at Washington's profile to see if there are signs of doubling. Examine the date to see if the numbers appear thicker or shadowed. Flip the coin and study the eagle on the reverse. Are the wings aligned properly, or does something look off? Then inspect the coin's edges for irregularities. These little details could be the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and one worth as much as $122,000. The most fascinating part is how often these treasures go unnoticed. Countless error coins have likely slipped through the hands of millions of people who never realized their worth. Someone may have unknowingly used a valuable 1986 quarter error at a vending machine or tossed it into a parking meter. That's why collectors stress the importance of awareness, because finding a coin like this can change your life. Beyond the thrill of hunting, these coins also serve as artifacts of American history. They connect us to a specific time and place, in this case the mid-1980s, when technology, precision, and even small mistakes created lasting legacies. The Washington quarter is a coin Americans have trusted for generations. Yet in 1986, a few extraordinary errors turned some into objects of immense curiosity and desire. They're not just metal discs. They're stories frozen in copper-nickel, blending artistry, history, and human imperfection. The financial side of the story cannot be overlooked either. The fact that a single coin can fetch between $50,000 and $122,000 shows just how powerful the collector's market has become. These are not just casual purchases. They are serious investments. A rare coin like this can appreciate in value over time, making it not only a collector's pride but also a tangible asset. That's why auctions for rare coins often draw serious attention from investors as well as hobbyists. At the end of the day, the 1986 Washington $quarter coin error captures the imagination because it proves that incredible value can be hiding in the most ordinary places. Something as common as a quarter, passed around countless times in everyday transactions, can turn out to be a life-changing discovery. It's a reminder to stay observant, to look closer at the things we take for granted, because sometimes the smallest details can hold the greatest surprises. So, the next time you find a quarter in your pocket or pull one from a coin jar, don't dismiss it so quickly, especially if it's dated 1986. Take a good look at it, study it closely, because you could be holding one of those extraordinary error coins worth between $50,000 and $122,000. That simple coin, once thought of as nothing more than 25 cents, could actually be a priceless piece of numismatic history waiting for someone with a keen eye to uncover its true value. The Washington quarter has long been one of the most iconic coins in the history of the United States. Introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, it quickly became one of the most recognized pieces of currency in circulation. For decades, millions of Americans have held a quarter without giving it a second thought, using it to buy a soda, feed a parking meter, or play an arcade game. But hidden within the countless quarters minted over the years are treasures, mistakes that slipped through the cracks, errors that transformed an everyday 25-cent piece into a coin worth more than most people's yearly salary. Among the most fascinating examples is the 1996 Washington quarter error, a coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike, with values ranging from $40,000 to as much as $112,000, depending on rarity and condition. Imagine holding a quarter in your hand and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. That's the kind of story that makes people look at their change a little differently. The 1996 Washington quarter comes from a period of transition in American coinage. The classic eagle reverse design was nearing the end of its long run, as the United States Mint prepared for the wildly popular state quarters program that would launch in 1999. By the mid-1990s, most people saw the quarter as just another coin, a workhorse of commerce. But what they didn't realize was that during the minting process in 1996, several errors were produced that gave rise to some of the most collectible and valuable quarters of the modern era. These mistakes weren't intentional, of course, but the very fact that they escaped the mint's quality controls makes them special. Error coins come in many forms, and the 1996 quarter is no exception. There are examples of off-center strikes, where the design doesn't sit properly on the coin, leaving part of the surface blank. Some coins from 1996 were struck on the wrong planchets, blanks meant for other denominations like nickels or dimes. When that happens, you get a quarter-sized coin that weighs differently, looks slightly off, and immediately raises the eyebrows of collectors. And then there are double die strikes, where the lettering or design elements show doubling that is visible to the naked eye. For the trained collector, spotting these variations can be like finding buried treasure. To appreciate the excitement around the 1996 quarter error, it helps to understand just how coins are made. At the U.S. Mint, massive machines strike planchets at an incredible speed, pressing the designs into the metal with immense force. The system is designed to be precise and consistent, but perfection on such a scale is nearly impossible. Dies can wear out, planchets can slip, misalignments can occur, and every so often the result is an error coin that's unlike anything else. Normally, errors are caught and destroyed, but every once in a while one makes it into circulation. That's where the story begins, because once these coins are out in the world, anyone can stumble across them. And that's exactly what happened with the 1996 Washington quarter error. At first, it was just another year's coinage. Millions of quarters were minted and sent into circulation, and nobody gave them much thought. But sharp-eyed collectors began noticing oddities. Letters that looked doubled, designs struck off-center, and quarters that didn't quite look like the rest. Word spread quickly in the numismatic community, and soon these coins were making their way to auctions. That's when the shocking values came into play. A coin that had a face value of 25 cents was suddenly being appraised and sold for tens of thousands of dollars. In some cases, pristine examples in top condition sold for prices as high as $40,000, while the rarest and most exceptional error coins from 1996 soared into six-figure territory, reaching an astonishing $112,000. Collectors are always chasing rarity, and the 1996 quarter error embodies exactly that. It isn't just about owning a quarter. It's about owning a mistake, a piece of history that wasn't supposed to exist. In the world of coin collecting, rarity plus demand equals value. And when you consider how many people collect Washington quarters, the demand for these errors makes perfect sense. The appeal of the 1996 error coin isn't limited to seasoned collectors, either. Everyday people have found these coins in pocket change, coin jars, or bankrolls. Imagine dumping out a jar of quarters you've been saving for laundry or a vending machine and spotting something unusual. At first, you might not even realize what you're looking at. Maybe the design looks a little crooked, or the lettering seems blurry. But for those who take the time to look closely, that tiny detail could be the difference between 25 cents and a life-changing payday. Auction houses have had a field day with the 1996 quarter errors. Stories abound of coins discovered in circulation and later sold for jaw-dropping prices. At one event, an off-center strike in mint condition fetched more than most people make in a year. Another double-die error stunned the crowd when it hit six figures, crossing that $112,000 mark that seemed almost unthinkable for a coin so modern and common. These sales not only brought attention to the 1996 quarter but also reignited interest in coin collecting overall, reminding people that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight. Condition, of course, is everything in the world of coin collecting. A 1996 quarter error that has been heavily circulated might still be valuable, but it won't reach the heights of a mint state example. Coins that are graded by professional services and encapsulated in protective holders are especially prized, because buyers can trust their authenticity and condition. That's why so many collectors stress the importance of checking your change and, if you think you've found something unusual, having it appraised by an expert. The Washington quarter holds a special place in the hearts of collectors not only because of its historical design but also because of the nostalgia it evokes. For decades, it carried the same eagle reverse that countless Americans grew up with. By 1996, that design was on the verge of being replaced by the 50-state quarter series, which would capture the public's imagination in a whole new way. But the errors of 1996 ensure that the old design went out with a bang, leaving behind coins that are now considered modern legends in the numismatic world. What's fascinating is how these error coins change the way people see money. Normally, a quarter is just a quarter, something you hardly think about when spending. But when you realize that a coin from 1996 could be worth $40,000 to $112,000, suddenly, every quarter feels like it deserves a second look. That sense of possibility is what keeps people engaged. It transforms a mundane object into a potential treasure. At coin shows, collectors share stories about their hunts for the 1996 errors. Some talk about searching through rolls of quarters from the bank, spending hours examining each coin under magnification. Others recount the moment of surprise when they spotted an obvious off-center strike in their pocket change. The excitement in those stories is contagious, because it proves that anyone can be the one to find the next rare gem. It doesn't require a huge investment, just patience, curiosity, and attention to detail. Investors, too, have taken notice of the 1996 quarter error. With prices climbing and examples becoming scarcer as collectors snap them up, these coins have become a kind of alternative investment. Unlike stocks or bonds, error coins are tangible assets with historical value, and their rarity ensures that demand will remain strong. For someone looking to diversify their portfolio, a coin like the 1996 error quarter represents both a piece of American history and a financial opportunity. The allure of these coins also lies in their unpredictability. Nobody can say for certain how many 1996 error quarters exist. That mystery fuels the hunt. Every new discovery adds to the excitement, while at the same time making it clear that these coins are rare. And with rarity comes value. The fact that we're talking about a face value 25-cent piece commanding prices in the tens of thousands, and even breaking the 100,000 mark shows just how powerful that combination of rarity and demand can be. The story of the 1996 Washington quarter error is ultimately about more than money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the possibility that the ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary. It's about history, chance, and the little quirks of the minting process that sometimes leave us with treasures hiding in plain sight. For collectors, owning one of these coins isn't just about what it's worth. It's about being part of that story. So the next time you get a handful of quarters back as change, take a closer look. Especially if one of them happens to be from 1996. Look for off-center designs, doubling on the letters, or anything that seems out of place. Because you never know, what looks like a simple coin could actually be a rare error worth anywhere between $40,000 and $112,000. That's the kind of discovery that changes lives, the kind of story that gets passed down for generations. And it all starts with something as simple as paying attention to the details on the coins we handle every single day.